Let's talk about 145. 145. It's crazy talk, Dave. Crazy talk. Yeah, it is. No, it's actually numerical talk. Now, don't be afraid. This isn't math. This is just numbers. Now, numbers everybody can do. Math, maybe not so much. 145 is a fancy way of saying a chord group. We showed you A, D, and E, chord group number 1. And if you can play those 3 chords together, you can blend them quickly, you can play a whole ton of songs. Then chord group number 2 is what we showed you next, which uses D, G, and A. And then there's a whole slew of songs you can play if you can play those 3 chords. Then we showed you chord group number 3, G, C, and D. And again, there's a whole ton of songs. You'll notice that they're always grouped together in groups of 3. A chord group is what we've been calling it, but its technical term is called a 1-4-5 chord progression. The word progression implies that those chords will move well into each other. They flow from one chord to another. The 1-4-5 of the saying 1-4-5 chord progression refers to the fact that those 3 chords are based on the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of what's called a major scale. Now, we're going to get more into this later. Big fancy schmancy knowledge of what the major scale is and what it does and all that stuff. But for now, let me just say this. A major scale sounds like this. I'm going to wager that unless you've been under a rock for your whole life, you've heard this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's a major scale. Now, it turns out you can do that major scale, the do, re, mi thing. You can start on any note that you want. I just started, let's see, that was I started on G. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I could start on a G sharp if I wanted. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. On an A. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. When we base a major scale on different notes, we call that playing in different keys. Now, you'll hear that a lot. Oh, we're in the key of A flat. All that means, plain and simple, is that you're basing the whole song off of an A flat major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Simple as that. This is Shostakovich's 3rd movement in the key of D flat major. All that's saying, it sounds really fancy. It's just saying that the whole song is based on a D flat major scale. Simple as that. So when we say 1-4-5, we're saying that the chords are based on the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of the major scale. Now, when I say that we're based on it, I don't mean based like the instrument. I'm saying that the chords are, that their foundation lives on the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of the major scale. Now, if I was to play an A major scale, it's an A major scale. Turns out that the 1st note of the scale is an A. The 4th note is a D. The 5th note is an E. A, D, E. And guess what? Chord group number 1, if you remember, was A, D, and E. They're all major chords, as it turns out. Now, again, we're going to get way more into the theory and the guts of why that works later. But just know that a 1-4-5 chord progression is plain and simple what you've already been playing. You've already been playing chord groups. We just didn't call it 1-4-5 because it usually confuses you at the beginning. But you're ready. By now, you're ready. So that's what a 1-4-5 chord progression is, and that's how it works. 3 chords that work well together, starting really on any note that we want, which gives us a different key. So 1-4-5 can be moved around a lot. But right now, we're just going to focus on 1-4-5 using the open chord groups. Now remember, there are 2 different kinds of categories of chords. There are open chords, which use open strings, and then there are barred chords, which don't use open strings. You're clamping your hand down and moving it all around the neck. Open chords use open strings. So let's talk about 1-4-5 using open chords. You already know 1-4-5 in a bunch of different keys. Again, key means based on different major scales. So far you know the 1-4-5 chord progression in the key of A. A is 1, D is 4, and E is 5. You also know it in the key of D. D is 1, G is 4, A is 5. You know it in the key of G. G is 1, C is 4, D is 5. You know it in the key of E. E is 1, A is 4, B7 is 5. You know it in the key of C. C is 1, F is 4, G is 5. So then you can now play a 1-4-5 chord progression in 5 different keys. The key of A, the key of D, the key of G, the key of E, and the key of C. Why talk about numbers instead of just saying, hey, play me the A chord? Why should I say, play me 1 instead of play me A? Well, the best reason is that that's what people in the real world do. When you're at a gig, you will oftentimes hear musicians yelling numbers at each other. Oh, let's stay on the 4 chord. One of the simplest reasons is, watch this, in the musical alphabet. Now we're going to talk about note names and the alphabet in a bit. But there are 7 notes in the musical alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over again. So it's kind of a weird song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, it's pretty easy to memorize, actually. Now, of those 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 5 of those letters rhyme. A and F don't rhyme, but B, C, D, E, G, they all rhyme. And if you're on a stage and the drummer's banging and everything's noisy, and hopefully the crowd is screaming adulation noises, oh, I love you! It's kind of hard to hear. Hey, let's stay on the D chord. Did he say D or G? I couldn't, did you hear him? I didn't hear him. Stay on the 4 chord. Nothing rhymes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, none of those rhyme. So if nothing else, just the fact that it's easier to not mistake which number got called makes using numbers more efficient. There's another reason. That reason right there. I can give you numbers with my hand that I can't do verbally. Because again, maybe you can't hear me. But if I do this, you're going to understand, oh, he's saying peace. He wants me to be at peace. I like that a lot, right? So we use numbers a lot. Also, as soon as you can break yourself free from the notion of, oh, I play A and then I play D, and instead start thinking, I play 1 and then I play 4, you can start to do things independent or above of keys. And what I mean by that is we did Happy Birthday very first. Very first thing I ever showed you. Happy birthday to you. See how that's kind of low for my voice? Happy birthday to you. Well, maybe I'll bounce it up an octave, sing it higher. Happy birthday to you. That's kind of high. Happy birthday to you. Neither one of these is very... See, my voice can't really make that. So instead of thinking, oh, it's A and E chords, if I'm thinking it's 5 and 1, I could pick a different key. Let's say the key of E, which is lower than the key of A. Happy birthday to you. Oh, that's too high. All right, let's do the key of D. How's that? So instead of playing, thinking, oh, I'm going to play A and then I'm going to play D, I think I'm going to play 5 and 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh, that fits my voice better. In other words, playing songs by numbers, all you have to do is memorize this little chart of what's 1, 4, and 5 in the different keys, and then it's just a matter of plugging it in and reading, okay, oh, well, we moved keys? Great, I'll do it now in the key of D instead. Oh, that's not good? Great, I'll do it in the key of C instead. Oh, that's still not good? Great, I'll do it in the key of whatever. And you have 5 different options, and those 5 options basically span the breadth of the musical spectrum. So if you can't do it in one of those 5 keys, then your singer has an extremely limited range. So here's a story. I was playing at the bar up at Sundance, the Robert Redford place that he owns. And since it's Robert Redford's place and they do the film festival, they have a lot of film workshops. And this one time, a pretty famous actress came in. I was playing there with my buddy, and I'm pretty sure that we did the song All of Me. Now, when I think of the song All of Me, I think of this. Oh, it's a 1 chord, followed by a 3 major chord, followed by a 6 major chord. I don't think, oh, it's a C major 7 chord, followed by E7, followed by A7. I think numbers. My brother-in-law, however, he thinks of the chords. So when this lady came up and said, the famous actress, hi, I'd really love to sing with you guys. Can I do that? Well, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it. Okay, let's do the song All of Me, she said. My brother-in-law said, okay, great, let's do it. And I said, great, let's do it. And she said, can we change it to the key of F? And that's when he went, oh, I can't do it. I, on the other hand, just went, oh, sure, no problem. Because I'm thinking 1, 3, 6. He was thinking C major 7, E7, A7. If you're thinking 1, 4, 5, oh, Silent Night is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Oh, that's not a very good key for me, Dave. Well, okay, let's do it in the key of G instead. 1, 1, 1, 1. That's still too high. All right, let's do it in the key of E instead. 1, 1, 1, 1. Still too high. 1, 1, 1, 1. Still too high. 1, 1, 1, 1. That's great. At that point, you'd have a pretty low singer. But the great thing is you have that flexibility for thinking in numbers. And then you can just plug them in. Oh, now I'm in the key of E. Well, great. This is 1, this is 4, this is 5.